Okay, so today I want to talk about something a little bit different. If you were born in the 80s and 90s, you will know of a show called The Teletubbies. I watched just one episode. I was freaked out. I had nightmares for like probably 6 months about these damn Teletubbies. I don't know why, just it gave me like the sheer creeps. I have a fear called pedophobia, which is like fear of dolls. So the Teletubbies absolutely were in that doll category and freaked me out. Anyway, as an adult at 34 years of age, I'm realizing there are weird conspiracy theories going around about the Teletubbies and like why the show was pulled from the air in some countries. I think even in the United States too, if I'm correct. But the theory goes, there's a bunch of kids in a mental institution and a series of like horrific events happen to these children, and the Teletubbies are based off of these horrific events. So I'm going to show you a couple clips and let you decide. But personally, I'm freaked out by the show. Let me know in the comments if you ever heard of or watched Teletubbies as a kid, and if you like them or were freaked out by them.
The Teletubbies conspiracy theory claims that the show was inspired by events in a Bulgarian mental facility called La La Land. Psychotic children were purportedly isolated in dark rooms, and apparently 4 children who died on the same day inspired the characters in Teletubbies. Lala's facial disfigurement and 5 years of isolation inspired Lala. Tuate, a deaf, facially deformed child, was tied to the fence outdoors and frostbitten, inspiring Tinky Winky. Donka, starving and unwell, inspired Dipsy by lying in his vomit for days. Ultimately, Paulina fell into a fire and was roasted alive, inspiring Poe. So why are they called the Teletubbies? The children's main source of comfort were the television sets in their room, and when they got word that the mental institution was getting rid of them, the children concocted a plan to hide the TVs. The children would rip out their insides to hide the miniature TV sets that were too big to swallow, only to be found dead by the returning caregivers the next morning.
These are disturbing facts about the Teletubbies. When I was little, I loved the Teletubbies, but looking back, it was pretty creepy. The giant sun in the sky that has a baby's face, and the fact that their mom is a vacuum cleaner, those things already make it weird. But did you know that the Teletubbies are actually 10 feet tall? And there are some conspiracies that think that the baby sun in the sky is actually a demon, and that the mom vacuum cleaner is actually one of Satan's helpers, sent to spy on the Teletubbies to make sure that they're actually following his word. And the Teletubbies live in a place called Teletubby Land, which actually looks like it's straight out of the back rooms. Teletubby Land honestly looks like one of those places where the caption would be like, have you seen this place in your dreams? Or like, do you feel like you've been here before even though you know that you haven't been here before? Did you guys ever watch the Teletubbies and did you think it was creepy? And follow for more spooky videos.
Do you know the dark truth behind the Teletubbies? We've always known that the 4 characters in the series are always smiling, but the truth behind Teletubbies will leave you speechless. In reality, the cartoon is based on a children's psychiatric institute in Bulgaria in the 50s. Each of these children was abused on a daily basis. The guards locked them in dark, cold rooms and even forgot to feed them. The 4 Teletubbies characters actually all died on the same day. Their faces were deformed due to the lack of food and getting beaten regularly. They were even kept in isolation, which led the children to dance and sing by themselves, even though there was no music at all. They occupied themselves as best they could. Because of the cold, Tinky Winky's skin turned purple. Lala, on the other hand, was a real ray of sunshine. She was literally the only child who, despite all her daily mistreatment and abuse, kept smiling. She constantly tried to reassure her other friends that things would eventually get better. Unfortunately, they all died. The character of Poe is itself taken from the full name Paulina. One night, drunken guards threw her into the fire as she slept. Paulina woke up the next morning with her body partially burned. The color red, therefore, refers to the flames into which she was thrown. Finally, as for the child who inspired Dipsy's character, he was a little boy who was constantly ill. He used to throw up what little food he was given. Green therefore refers to sickness and vomiting, and the sun we see in the cartoon is actually a metaphor for the guardians the children must constantly obey. The only source of comfort for this group of children was the television, which was always on. Except that one day, they heard the director of the institute say he was going to remove it because of the cost of electricity. The four friends quickly panicked. When the guards returned home at night, the four children went into the office and each stole a small television. Unfortunately, they quickly lost their way, as they had no idea where they were going to hide them, so they decided to hide the televisions in their own stomachs. The next morning, when the guards arrived at the institute, the children were crying, as usual. But this time, all four of them were lying in the middle of the room. Their stomachs were open and blood was running all over the room. However, their eyes were wide open, and they were grinning from ear to ear. These darker origins would explain why Teletubbies have been banned in some countries. Share this video, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to not miss the next story.